or to tame frame. So businesses like that of Dangote have been complaining about the monetary policy and the taxation on each loan that has been collected. So all of that now has its own effects negatively on the society in terms of the fact of creating more job opportunities, because you can be paying so much on monetary policies, that is taxation and all, and then still hope that there will be so much job available. But this monetary policy is being tightened up is actually a way to tame down the inflation rate. But at this point, we're going to find out in the course of this program if all of these policies are actually key to helping Nigeria tame inflation, or is it worsening the whole situation. We will find out more, because on today's edition, I have a guest who is actually going to join me virtually, as we'll be extracting all of this and then be assessing the trends, analyzing the trends, and also looking at the forecast for the near future. So now there's another factor again, which I'm about to list, which is going to be in the line with the exchange rate. The exchange rate is expected to depreciate further in 2024 and settle significantly above current rates in both the official and parallel market. So this is talking about the dollar angle and naira angle. So now, as of yesterday, naira gained a 0.6% increase against the dollar, which is something that is significant, and still naira was able to hold firm to that gain. And then we are hoping throughout the close of work yesterday till on today's hour, the naira is still gaining with a 0.6%. So we are hoping against the dollar, we are hoping to see that increase, and then we're to see that the inflation rate, and then as well as the naira rate, is going to, subside and then be on the bearish side. So these are the angles we're looking at. Investors segment, investors are expected to be cautiously optimistic with foreign portfolio investment flow to the capital market, remaining cautious due to reduced challenges. So there are also challenges because our GDP is also calculated or meant to grow from this angle of investment, but we are having other challenges in those sectors that is making all of that not to happen. So we are looking at means that we need to do so we can crunch out all of these and then find a path to follow, so we can at least actualize part of our current the GDP, which has been set for the year 2024. So moving on now, productivity, limited fiscal space for public investment and difficulty attracting private investment constraint the availability to make essential infrastructure improvements. So these are another sector now about infrastructure, because if you're looking at it now, around 1.32 trillion has been set aside for infrastructure improvements in Nigeria. That is part of the budget for the year 2024. So all of these factors now I've been looking into, talking about challenges now. The challenges, in the past decade, 14.9 trillion has been spent on insecurities, which has played major role in terms of stiffening the Nigerian economy and again growth, and for us to also have foreign investors, because at this point, with all of the insecurities going around, foreign investors are skeptical from coming in to the country to invest. But I'm not going to be alone analyzing or talking about all of this, because definitely we are in a fix right now, but we are looking for a way around on how we are going to manage the situation and then see how the country is going to, blossom in terms of economic-wise. So we would be going on a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll be introducing my guest who is going to be joining me virtually as we analyze all of this. To stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk business.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Ukeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
Yes, many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Business Point on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Now, let's talk business. So, looking at the current trend now, and then we'll be analyzing the current trend of Nigerians' current GDP and economic situation, looking at the inflation rate, high cost of living, and food inflation. So all of those areas that we are going to be looking at them, and as well as looking at the forecast for the inflation rate to which is going to be coming up, let's say, for the month of September, August, November, all through to December, and the year 2025 to 2026. And then we are also going to be looking at the current inflation rate from the year 2008 up to this time. And then we'll be going to be analyzing, the stages. And then, despite the fact that we don't have so much time on the program, but we'll see how much time will permit us to take on today's edition. At this time, I'll be introducing my guest, the person of Oyelekun Adeshina, the Director General of Economic Growth and Development Center, Abuja. Hello, sir. How are you doing? Can you hear me? Good morning, Mr. Kule.
Yes, Mr. Samuel.
Yes, how are you doing, sir? I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you very, very slight, but I'm hoping it's going to get better in a very quick second. But let's get into it. We're looking at the current trend now about Nigerian economy. So what are we expecting to see in the nearest future? Because looking at the current inflation rate and the current projection for the rise of our GDP for the year 2024 to be at 3.1%, which it's looking as if it's going to be like passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. Do you think we can actualize that GDP for the year 2024?
Firstly, thank you for having me on your program. Let me say this: we don't need to be too optimistic about it, because I personally don't think we can do over 3% this year. So I think we will still maintain that of last year between 2.5 and 3%. I think that if we do that, I think that is pretty fair, which is good. But for us to say we are going to do above 3% might not be realistic based on the prevailing economic situation. Yes, we might not be able to do that.
Looking at the monetary policies now, because at this point now, the central bank keeps tightening the policies on a monthly basis. Do you think that's the best way to go, to help curb the inflation? Because, when the Minister of Finance and the Governor of the CBN, when they were asked about the reason why all of this always happened, that is the monetary policy getting tightened by the month, they say is to tame down inflation. Do you think that is the right approach? Do you think tightening the monetary policy would help tame inflation?
Thank you, Mr. Samuel, for that question. And I think I've mentioned it on your program before that personally, I don't think that's the right thing to do. However, we have to appreciate the effort of Mr. Yemi Cardoso, for what he's doing, him and his team, because they are actually using the tool in their hand. So it's just, what do you have in your hand? That is what they are using. But to be realistic about it, it is not working as much as they make us believe that it's working, because we would have thought, like personally at the Economic Center, we felt the rate should have been held at 18%, which was what we had in February. If we have held it at that in February, we should have seen much more impact than what we are having currently, because what we are having currently, the inflation is not demand driven, it is supply driven. And when it is supply driven, it means there's not enough supply to meet with the demand. So if you are tightening, you're trying to, with the assumption why the CBN is tightening is with the assumption that there's too much money in circulation. So, and when you do that, you tend to in a way suffocate the economy. So I would also think that this month they should hold that of last month, the rate as at last month, and not increase it any longer.
You know, there are different factors that are actually causing all of this now. We have internal and external factor. You know, Nigerian economy remains very valuable to the external pressure, including geopolitical, economic, and, environmental as well. So, and then we also have political trends as well. So, looking at the current insurgency, or will I say crisis going on between Russia and Ukraine, that has tamed down, and then one of the reasons why we're suffering food insecurity in Nigeria, in the sense that we tend to get grains from Ukraine and other parts of Asia. So how key is this going to be now to Nigeria now coming out from the stage of food insecurity?
Okay, firstly, let me mention this. The war between Russia and Ukraine, actually, in a way, yes, it affects Nigeria, but not as much as that, because the major crop food we import from Russia is wheat, and we all know we have substitute for wheat in the country. So most Nigerians don't even take wheat. It's just a normal staple that people take: the rice and the beans and the maize. So that is what you find Nigerians taking more than the wheat. So the impact of that is not much. But however, that said, I also need to acknowledge that there's food crisis in the country, whereby we have, and the prices are skyrocketing, as you can see, reflecting in the CPI, that is the inflation rate, which is the food inflation is over 40%. Now, this means that we don't have enough, and production is not taking place as it should take place. So that is just what we are experiencing now. And the way out of it is, well, one way, the president has said that they are going to lift no import duties on some of these foodstuffs, let people bring them in. Yes, it's good to look at it in one way, but on the other hand, that has a way of discouraging local production, because by the time you flood the whole market with foreign goods, and the local producers are discouraged, you just find that many of them will abandon agriculture and move into other lucrative sector. So that is the danger in doing that. So, however, holistically, what we need to do is to make sure we make our farmland secure for farmers to access, so that they can access the farmland and they can farm. And also we can encourage them with the fertilizers and the other improved seedlings to have a bumper harvest. And when we do this, then we can start talking about how we can start experiencing a decrease in the food insecurity we have in the country.
Looking at our current inflation rate now, which is at 34.19% from the month of June, where do you think the forecast now is going to head to? Are we expecting to see any decline, or we're going to see it still spike up?
Well, for now, if we say we are going to expect it to decrease, it means we are. Let me just go straight to it. We shouldn't expect the rate to come down any moment from now. Previously, when we saw the decline in the month-to-month inflation rate, we were thinking that would result into a decrease in the year-on-year rate. But however, that is not going to happen soon again because of the tension we have in the economy. You can see currently we are having protests everywhere. People that should be in the farm, they are not there. They are out there protesting, and some of those things will impact the inflation rate, which means we shouldn't expect it to drop further.
Looking at the current inflation rate now on the charts now that it's on the screen, it rose from 20%. That was from 14%. That was from like 2020 during the COVID era, and then it kept going up to this set date, which is at 34%. So, how key is it that the central bank and this current administration will get the ball rolling so we don't tend to experience a spike up, because it's been projected for us to see a decline coming in from early 2025 down to 2026, and again we're seeing a spike again from 2027. So how key is it going to be for the central bank and then the Minister of Finance should be able to find a way to curb all of this so we don't have a spike when we are seeing a projection for 2025 coming down?
It's simple, Mr. Sam. The thing is, for you to have a decrease in the inflation rate, okay, let's break it down. The inflation rate we have is mostly driven by food inflation. So which means if we find a way to bring down the food inflation, you find a way to make more crops available for the people, then you should see a drop or a reduction in the inflation rate. So now you mentioned from the year 2020, that is after COVID, we started experiencing this spike. Now remember that insecurity is one major issue that's causing the low harvest we have in terms of the food production we have in the country. People cannot access their farm. So until this is curbed, we cannot experience what many Nigerians are clamoring for. Yes, we want food to come down. We want the price of food to come down. We want the general price of things to come down. But it's mostly driven by food inflation. And until we produce more locally, I need to also say that until we produce more locally, we will not have that. We will not achieve that.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akunle, for short notice and for joining us on the program. We really appreciate you. You've given a precise solution to the problem which we have in hand, and how for us not to suffer more, which is production, massive production. When we have massive production, we would have more food in the market and business will go around, and we would not be having such level of inflation rates. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program today. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel.
Yes, so looking at the charts now for the inflation rates, we're hoping not to see a spike since it has been forecast and projected to decline in the coming year and then the year to come. So that's how much time will permit us to take on to this edition of Business Points. My name is Samuel Odi. I hope you all have a wonderful day ahead, and then bye for now. I'll see you all tomorrow.